We're going to talk about how to create the perfect retirement. And like I said, hopefully you guys got a pen and paper because we're going to move fast. This should take us about 45 minutes unless we're having a bunch of fun. 45 to 50 minutes, and then we should be wrapping up. I am long-winded, so maybe 50 or 55, but I'm going to try to go as fast as I can, okay? Are you ready? Here we go. All right. Here's my bold promise to you. By the end of this webinar, I'm going to show you how you can have enough money in retirement without losing another penny or outliving your savings, okay? And for those of you guys who hang with me to the end, I have a special offer. It's valued at $7,050 just for you. Wow. Okay, has anybody ever heard of these? Have you ever heard, well, if you have $2 million saved and you only withdraw 4% each year, you will not run out of money? Or maybe you've heard that you should save in a 401k or an IRA for the tax benefits, right? Maybe your CPA's told you that, your HR department. If you invest in growth stock mutual funds, you should average 12% per year over the next 10 years. We've heard that from some guru. Or the fourth one, the majority of your money before retirement and after retirement should be in some sort of mix of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and cash equivalents. If you've ever heard that, please put a 2 in the comments. If any of those things you've ever heard from your financial advisor, a CPA, friends at work, friends at church, has anybody ever heard that? Anybody? Is it just me? Yeah, it seems like all of you guys have heard that. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that every one of those things are unfortunately wrong. I don't want you to take my word for it. Okay, so I actually had the privilege of producing a Hollywood movie with the guy who started the 401k. His name is Ted Bennett. And he said that all those things were wrong. But it wasn't just Ted. It wasn't just Ted that said that. Who else is saying that the traditional way of saving for retirement is all wrong? Well, you've got Nobel-winning economists, right? Bill Sharp, Robert Merton. You've got the foremost expert of Social Security in the world. You've got state comptrollers. You've got the largest whistleblowers in financial history in America. David Babel, one of the experts at Goldman Sachs. This list goes on and on and on. But they're all saying the same thing, that what we're taught, okay, by the traditional media, by our financial advisors, by our CPAs, often it's very, very wrong, okay? So who and what are we to believe regarding our retirement in this crazy day and age in which we are living? Well, my name's Andrew Winnett. This is my lovely mother, Suzanne Winnett, and I 4 of those kids belong to me, not all 6, okay? I'm not that crazy. I'm not a Catholic or a Mormon or anything. I'm just kidding. Only 4, right? We called it a day. But that's my mom. And my father, this is my father, he unexpectedly passed away at the young age of 45 and left my mom in a major financial pickle. Now, it's cool how God can use all things together for good, because through one man's death, and although it sucked, okay, don't get me wrong, many people have benefited from what happened because God turned it around and used it for much good. Fast forward to today, been in the industry for over a decade. I've dedicated my life to helping women, just like my mom, prepare for a safe, secure retirement that they cannot outlive and that grows safely to offset inflation. I'm an author, radio show host. I produce a Hollywood film. We've got an office here in Brentwood. My team and I have had the privilege of helping over 5,000 clients. That's not an exaggeration. Because part of my company had 200 agents before this. We've gotten away from that. I was pulling my hair out. I wasn't seeing my family. So we've scaled down a little bit. But yes, we actually have helped 5,000 clients around the country, just like yourself, create the safe, secure retirement of their dreams. I actually wrote a book called The Joseph Strategy, and I based my entire firm on a book that I felt was given to me as I was reading through the story of Joseph in the Bible. Has anybody ever heard or read the story of Joseph in the Bible? Put a 3 in the comments if you're familiar with the story of Joseph in the Bible. 3, yep, we got a couple people. Love it. Love it, love it. So we'll talk about that in a second. But imagine, just for a second, okay, What if you never had to worry about your retirement again? What if you never had to stress out if you were going to lose a large chunk of your IRA or your 401k if the market crashed, right? What if you were guaranteed to never run out of income, even if you live to 100? What if your monthly income grew to offset inflation each year? What if you could avoid paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes in retirement? What if you could avoid paying hundreds of thousands in unnecessary fees to your financial advisor? Well, that sounds pretty good, right? Imagine how bright your future would be. Well, here we go. Write this down. There's three strategies that you need to know about in order to create the perfect retirement. The first strategy is called the silo strategy. Now, by the way, this is not anything new. Have you ever heard the saying, if it's new, it's not true? And if it's true, it's not new? Well, that's very true, right? This is 3,500 years old. It's not new, okay? Now, if you have less than 10 million saved, which there may be a few of you here that have more than that, the key to getting all of your financial fears alleviated and your problem solved is what I call and what I believe is the silo strategy. So write that down, the silo strategy. Now, I'm going to give you a little insight into my book, but the silo strategy comes from my book, The Joseph Strategy. In a nutshell, the 5 strategies are as follows. If you guys are familiar with the story of Joseph, then you know it. Joseph, he came on the scene. He interpreted Pharaoh's dreams. Pharaoh had these dreams that there were, essentially 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine. And he didn't know what that meant, but because of Joseph's interpretation skills, Pharaoh elevated him to number 2 in the country. So he had to get a game plan in place to prepare for an upcoming famine. Now, how you prepare in seasons of abundance determines how well you're going to do in seasons of famine. So the first strategy in the book is management. Joseph was a really good manager. He took inventory of what he had. What can be measured can be managed. He was a really good manager. Okay, he didn't let anything slip through the cracks. Secondly, God gave him financial wisdom on how to prepare for the upcoming famine. Now, this is my opinion. I'm not the only one who thinks this, but I believe that there's an upcoming famine ahead of us as Americans, as a nation. Now, famines can be self-inflicted, right? So maybe you retire, the paycheck ends, right? Or something that happens to us, or a market downturn, etc. But we all are going to go through seasons of famine. And again, like I said, what you do today determines how well you're going to do in that season of famine. We all know people who never saved, and now look at them. They're retired and life sucks, right? The third strategy was Joseph began saving 20% of his income in a silo. Now, there's 5 distinctions. I'm not going to give all of them to you because I want you to read the book, and you'll have an opportunity to get the book at the end. But he created a silo. Now, this silo not only took care of the needs of Egypt during the famine, but it actually provided for the rest of the known world. And because he was faithful with that and he didn't get it backwards, he was able to use extra money, extra resources, extra food, if you would, to buy the riskier asset classes, right? The stocks, bonds, mutual funds of today. Of yesterday, it was, the livestock, the real estate, the farms, etc. So you use the excess funds to acquire the riskier asset classes, because once your silo's taken care of and your bills are good to go, so you have more than enough to last through any famine, then you can use excess money to buy the riskier asset classes. And then 5 is world-changing generosity. Listen, it doesn't matter whether it's a church, a charity, a child, or a grandchild. We want you to be positioned to have more than enough to be able to give to the things that are important to you, okay? But we're going to really hone in on number 3, which is creating your silo strategy. Now, before we go into the good news, we need to understand what's going on behind the scenes. Now, some of you may not know this, okay? But there are 4 fundamental problems with traditional 401ks, 403bs, 457s, TSPs, traditional IRAs, or even Roth IRAs. There's 4 things. Please write this down. Number 1, the bad news is there's heavy regulation on when you can and cannot access your money. So you have limitations on how much you can save, limitations on when you can begin withdrawing, fees and fines if you withdraw before certain ages. And then the government forces you to begin withdrawing from your retirement accounts at 72 because they want some of that tax revenue, right? Regardless of if you need the money or not, and regardless if the market is down. Ouch, we'll talk about that in a second. Bad news number 2, write this down, taxes. Did you know that the 401k and the IRA are designed to keep you poor? And I'll show you, I'll prove it to you in a second. You and your beneficiaries pay taxes as income on these traditional retirement accounts. Whereas if you were to invest in after-tax dollars, non-qualified money, you would have long-term capital gains, which are much less, and then the step up in basis for any inheritance. I'll show you that in a second. So here we have some income tax brackets. Let's just say you make 100 grand, okay? And you're married, you file jointly. In the income tax bracket, okay, you're going to be at 24%, all right? In the capital gains bracket, you were only at 15%. So you're taking a 9% haircut if you make 100,000 and invest in an IRA, 401k, any sort of traditional retirement plan. You're going to pay 9% more in taxes right off the bat. Okay. Now, what if you make 200,000? Well, then you pay over double. Okay, because your 15% tax, capital gains tax, long-term capital gains is still 15%, whereas your income jumped to 32. You're paying over double. Okay, and a lot of people don't realize this. Well, hold on, Andrew. I thought I get tax deductions. Well, you do. But what you don't realize is that the taxes are as low as they've ever been. Listen, it doesn't matter what you feel about Donald Trump. He really helped out the Americans with taxes, and that's going to sunset or go away in 2025. What do you think is going to happen? In fact, I want to ask you guys, do you think taxes are going to go down? Do you think they're going to stay the same, or do you think that they're going to go up? I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. Do you think taxes are going to go down with all the money we've spent, okay? Stay the same or go up? What do you guys think? Go up, tax go up? Mm-hmm. I agree. Taxes are going to go up, which means the income taxes are going to be even worse, right? So you're going to be paying more by investing in these traditional accounts, which everybody does it. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about the step up in basis. This is so important. A lot of people don't know what this is. It's very important, okay? So if you leave behind assets to your children, okay, what the step up in basis does is it literally allows them to not have to pay taxes, okay, on that inherited account. I'll explain. Okay, so here we have an example. This is a non-qualified step up in basis for inheritance. So mom bought $1,000 worth of Walmart stock at 30 years old. Your mom, okay? Now, mom passes away at 80 years old. Heaven forbid she died too young, right? Her Walmart stock now is worth $1 million after 50 years of growth. So it went from 1,000 to 1 million in 50 years of growth. Okay, that's probable. When the kids inherit the non-qualified asset, which is 1 million of Walmart stock, they will have to pay $0 in taxes because of the step up in basis. Pretty sweet. Well, let's go to the IRA inheritance example. Mom bought $1,000 worth of Walmart stock at 30 years old in her IRA or 401k. Mom passes away at 80 years old. Her Walmart stock within her IRA is worth $1 million after 50 years of growth. When the kids inherit the IRA, $1 million of Walmart stock, they will have to draw down the $1 million IRA over 10 years and be taxed as income. Think about that. It went from zero taxes for your kids, non-qualified, to potentially up to 32, 34, 36%. Wow. And yet, everybody says you need your deductions, right? Invest in the IRA, invest in the 401k. We've all heard this, right? But they don't talk about that. So, huge problem. Again, they're not telling us, and there's reasons. We'll talk about that in a second, okay? Bad news number 3, high fees, right? This is stuff that's going on behind the scenes. This is from NerdWallet. You can get it on your own. I didn't tell you this. This is from a very well-known source. The average middle-class American will pay over $1 million in fees over their lifetime if they stick to the traditional route of investing for retirement. 1 million. Now, I don't know about you, but most people don't want to give me $1 million as a financial advisor, especially if their money goes up or down. And if I were to lose their money, usually they don't want to pay me $1 million. And when they go to retire, for most advisors, the advisor's not going to give them any money if they needed it, right? Listen, Mr. Advisor, I gave you $1 million, right? I'm 20 grand short this year. Can you help me out at least? They never do that, right? By the way, we don't charge any fees at our firm. Okay, that's a little side note. The point is, okay, and that's not what we're talking about. You got to know that there's fees in there. And by the way, if you go in and you try to look up the fees, and you get a fee analysis, it's very difficult for the average person to know exactly what they're getting charged. And often the companies don't disclose it. So you've got financial advisor fees, but then you've got account fees. Then you've got, depending on the product, there's mortality tables. It's ridiculous. So the point is you're paying more fees than you think. Okay. That is number 3. This is really important. Write this down. This is good. Sequence of returns risk. Let me explain how this works. John and Jill both retired age 65 with 1 million saved for retirement. Okay. They finally made it. They saved up for $1 million. Okay. Year 1, they draw $40,000 to live on for the year. So 1 million minus 40. Now they've got 960,000. Cool. Right. They're living the dream. Year 2. Now they have 960. They draw another 40,000 to live on. Okay. So now they're at 920, but in year 2, the market loses 20% in a downturn. I'm not saying it loses 50. I'm not saying it's losing 80. It just loses 20, which happens like every 18 months, by the way. Okay. So negative 20%, they lost 184 grand. Now their portfolio, after just year 2 of retirement, they're 67 now, or 66, 736 grand. Well, fast forward to year number 3. They draw another 40,000 to live on for the year. They're being frugal. Went from 736 down to 696. But in year 3, they have another 20% downturn. Okay. They lost 139 grand. Their portfolio is almost cut in half in year 3, $556,000. This is called sequence of returns risk. Okay. And this happens. I'll tell you some stories in a bit. This is very deadly. And this is why, as you retire, you cannot have overexposure to risk, because sequence of returns risk is very real. Okay. In other words, 401ks and IRAs are designed for you to pay the most in taxes, leave behind as little as possible to loved ones, pay as much in fees to Wall Street as possible, and have a high probability of running out of money in retirement. Bummer. And guess what? 80% of America's retirement savings are in these vehicles. This is where the silo comes in. Silo to the rescue, right? Did you know that a silo, it provides guaranteed streams of income as long as you live even age 100? An income that safely grows to offset inflation each year. It has the ability to participate in the upside of the market without any of the downside. We'll talk about that in a second. 0 financial advisor fees. Thank you, Jesus, right? No financial advisor fees. Number 5, long-term care coverage, even if you're older or already have a health condition. That's another big piece of the puzzle. Did you guys know that long-term care, write this down, is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in America? 7 out of 10 people will find themselves in a long-term care situation before they pass, and it often falls on the burden of women. Why? Women live longer than men. Us men are stupid, right? We're doing backflip gainers off the ladder. We're, eating too much hot chicken. We're playing hot potato with dynamite. We're the stupid ones. We're the ones that die first. You guys are left, to live potentially another 10 or 15 years. And that's where the long-term care situation often happen to women. Did you guys know that 4 out of 5 men die married, whereas 4 out of 5 women die single? It's frustrating. This is why we do what we do, okay? Number 6, the silo can provide tax efficiency. So you pay as little taxes as possible. It provides liquidity. It's inheritance tax friendly. The principle never goes backwards during a market crash, and it's the safest financial product in an Armageddon scenario. The safest, okay? Did you know that the silo strategy has been used all around the world for thousands of years? If it's new, it's not true. And if it's true, it's not new. Even by Babe Ruth and Shaq. Okay. Babe Ruth invested in silos during the Great Depression, didn't lose a penny when everyone else lost virtually everything. Okay. Second strategy, moving right along. We're making good time, folks. You can enjoy, this is so important, you can enjoy the same monthly income with 50% less saved in your silo. So you may be saying, okay, Andrew, I only have $1 million, right? Or maybe I don't even have $1 million, right? Maybe I only have like 500 or 300 or whatever. You need half as much to get the same output as the traditional drawdown method. And we'll talk about that in a second. So in the traditional way of decumulating one's retirement savings, often financial advisors recommend the 4% rule. Many of you guys have heard of the 4% rule. First of all, if you guys have heard of the 4% rule, put a 4 in the comments because I'd love to hear this. The 4% rule, put a 4 in the comments. Okay. Yep. Love it. So you guys have heard of this. So Morningstar. Okay, so you haven't heard of it. So what the 4% rule was, is it was very common knowledge for decades that as long as you don't draw down more than 4% of your overall portfolio, you'll never run out of money. And that's what they did when the bonds were really strong, like 20, 30 years ago. Well, Morningstar, which is like the largest financial newspaper in the world, they came out with this article and has basically said, no, 4% is way too much. You will run out of money for sure. It's actually more like 2.8%. You'd have to withdraw only 2.8% annually to never run out of money. So if you have $1 million, you only get 28 grand. Well, that sucks. Well, with a silo, you can get the same 28 grand with only 500. Now, it does depend on your age a little bit, but it takes literally half in the amount invested in a silo to create the same results as a traditional 401k or IRA plan, right? And the silo is guaranteed to stay the same and grows regardless of market volatility. And there are zero guarantees with any traditional 401k or IRA accounts. So you could lose even more than that. You still could run out of money, right? Now you may be asking, okay, Andrew, this sounds pretty good. Sounds like the silo strategy is great. Makes a ton of sense, but is it actually going to work for me in my situation personally? Because your situation is different. Every person who's on here, they've got a different, unique situation, right? Now, if you go into a doctor's office and he or she gives you a prescription without running any tests, that is malpractice, right? He or she is abusing their authority as a doctor. So I'm very much like a financial doctor, and I need to run some tests on your financial situation before I can make any specific recommendations. I call it staring at the problem, right? So this is interesting, and maybe you guys can relate to this. What I found in my practice is that when I do sit across the table with men, okay, men have an easier time looking at the problem. We're fixers, we're logical, right? We want to, we're driven by fixing problems. So the men will sit across with, hey, you're going to run out of money at 84, right? If this is where you're at, like you don't have enough saved or you're spending too much or whatever. I could give them the whole game plan. And they have an easier time staring at it initially, but when the game plan is created, they really struggle with following through. I don't know why that is, but men really struggle with following through, generally speaking, okay? Now, as opposed to that, conversely, women have a harder time, generally speaking, looking at the problem. I call it, ostrich syndrome. We bury their head in the sand. They don't want to look at it. They just keep kicking the can. I hope I have enough, right? I just keep putting it away and I just hope I'm okay, right? I'll look at it a year before retirement. Cindy, listen, you're not alone, okay? Women have a harder time looking at it because, and I'll tell you why. Please, tell me if this is you. Women by nature, generally speaking, okay, I don't want to lump everyone together, generally speaking, are less confrontational than men. Is this ringing any bells here? they don't want to get in confrontation. They don't want to get into any weirdness. They don't like struggling with money. It's just, they don't like doing that, right? So they don't stare at the problems. They don't forecast. They don't plan as well. However, if we can get them to just look at the problem and at least just come to an expert, what I find is that when we create the perfect silo strategy, the game plan, the income plan, they are so good at following it. And they're the ones that benefit the most over their entire life. They're the ones that have yield all the fruit because they stick to the plan. So men have an easier time staring. They struggle with following through. Women don't want to look at it, but if we can get them to look at it and they can just get that game plan in front of their eyes, they're so good with following the plan, which I love. And that's why our firm focuses primarily on serving women. 90% of my clients are women, and that's on purpose, okay? Now, like I said, although it may be initially harder to get the conversation started, in the long run, we have a far greater impact on their finances over their lifetime, which is awesome. Now, if you have at least, this is a general statement, okay? If you have at least 250,000 in liquid investable assets, the silo strategy will 100% work for you from a suitability perspective. If you got 250, it doesn't mean that all 250 is going to go into a silo, okay? But from a suitability, which means that it has to be suitable for you and your needs. You got to have some liquidity, got to have some growth, got to have some income. But what that tells you is if you do have 250 grand, okay, it means that staying in a 401k or an IRA is a choice that you can exit from if you so desire. You have the power, okay? Strategy number 3, we're moving right along. This is super important. The powers that be are trying to keep you from buying a silo. Everyone has a bias, including me. We'll talk about those in a second. Here's Wall Street's bias, okay? And I came from the banking world. Wall Street's bias is fees, okay? This is there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Miles Monroe, okay? He's an amazing guy. He has this quote, so good. Write this down, okay? Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. If you don't understand the purpose of something, you will abuse it. So, for example, if I don't understand the purpose of my phone and I'm using it as a frisbee, you know, I like frisbee golf, so I'm going to abuse my phone. That's not what the purpose is, right? So if if that black, whiteboard, which is made out of glass, which you guys should be able to see, if, that's to draw on and write on. But if I use it as a dartboard, it's going to be abused, right? The point is the 401k was not designed. You'll hear about this in a second. The guy who started the 401k, it wasn't designed to be, the employee matches, the employer matches. We get this lump sum, and then at retirement, I roll it over into an IRA, and it's invested in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You know what happened is Wall Street came on the scene, and they saw this gigantic opportunity. I'm talking gigantic, where they said, listen, we'll take the 401k plan, and we'll have it under management, and we'll charge them a fee every year for the rest of their lives. And then we'll make it confusing, and we'll make it difficult for them to move money, and we'll get all these big media companies and we'll all say the same thing, right? Fees, 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 fees. Like I said in the beginning, the average person is paying $1 million in fees. How many people are in America? There are hundreds of billions of dollars in fees from 401ks, 457s, 403bs, IRAs that are going to Wall Street. For example, if you have $1 million saved and you only pay a 1% fee each year, which a lot of people don't realize they're paying more, according to Forbes, 2.1% overall. You don't know this. Most people don't know this, but that's really the case. That is $10,000 per year in fees that's going into your financial advisor's pockets, whether your money goes up or down. Now, assuming your $1 million never grows, and assuming you only have an advisor for 30 years, which most people have it for way longer than that, that's $300,000 in fees. Okay, so this is their bias. This is why they like your money under management. And it seems a little sinister, doesn't it? Gosh. Now, what's my bias? Because you're like, okay, Andrew, what's your bias, buddy? I know you've got some angle, right? Here's my bias. I came from Wells Fargo. I was at Wells Fargo during the global financial crisis, trying to become a financial advisor. Okay. Now, when people sit down in my office, I show them how I could make 5 times as much money doing what everyone else does, but I choose not to. And here's my bias. Here's why. I got to see how many people lost 40%, 50%, 60% of their portfolio. I got to see people stressed out like Chris Farley, right? Walking in saying, listen, I was going golfing 3 times a week. I was hanging out with the girls having breakfast 3 times a week at my favorite breakfast restaurant. And now I've got to go work for some purple haired, lip ring tattooed weirdo as a barista at Starbucks, or I've got to go stand for 8 hours a day at Lowe's because we lost $400,000, right? I got to see that. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And so for me, I saw the guy I was learning from, his phone was ringing off the hook. I don't want that. If you have 5,000 clients and you lose 30%, what's my life going to look like? I've got a wife and 4 kids. Like, I want to actually enjoy my life. So that's why we've taken a stand. It's unconventional, but we don't lose people's money. Not one penny of my clients' money has been lost. That's my bias. Do I make great money? Yes, I do. But none of my money comes out of yours. None. I know we'll talk about that later. Okay. So for me, my bias is I don't want to lose your money. I want you to sleep like a baby. I don't want my phone ringing off the hook because you're pissed. And I want to have freedom and stress-free and liberation, right? That's what I want. Okay. Wall Street wants the fees. It's hundreds of billions in fees over time. You end up becoming a silo for Wall Street, right? So you can either have, your own silo that pays you, or you can be a silo for Wall Street, right? And have your assets under management. Wall Street tries to sell a higher risk-based investment strategy, not for your 20s and 30s. That's fine. That's okay. You should have your money in the market because it's going to go up, right? That's fine in your 20s or 30s, maybe even for your 40s and 50s. But when they're starting to do it for your entire life, when you have the majority of your money, that's when they're crossing a line because now you're retired. You don't have you're relying on that income, right? Retirement is kind of like Mount Everest. A lot of people don't know this, okay? But more people die coming down Mount Everest than they do going up. I didn't know that until just recently, right? And the reason why is when you're climbing up the mountain, you're focused, you're energetic, I want to hit the goal, and you plant your flag, and then you start coming down and you're tired and you're less focused, and you want to get back to the tent and whatever, right? It's a lot like retirement planning. Climbing up the mountain, your Sherpa, your financial advisor, the guy who assists you up the mountain of retirement, the way up is accumulation. Okay, so just pretend that's your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. You're saving, you're working hard, you're putting money away, you're crushing it, right? And you get up and you've grown your portfolio, you plant your flag. Oh, we did it. Time to retire, right? And you begin your way down. I tell people, if you have the same Sherpa that got you up the mountain and you're using that same strategy to get down, often this is where all the mistakes happen. This is where all the financial deaths happen because decumulation is a different strategy. Accumulation is okay, right? Put it in riskier assets. But when you're going down that mountain of life, okay, it's income and safety. You don't want to run out of money, right? That would be terrible. No one wants to be looking at their watch and their bank account like, well, at this rate, I've only got about 24 months before I'm out of money. I mean, I feel pretty good. I guess I probably should get out of here sooner than later. No one wants to live like that, right? So I'm not the Sherpa that helps people get up the mountain. I'm the Sherpa that helps them get safely down. Okay, so that's what we specialize in. Going with the same old Wall Street retirement game plan is also kind of like getting your car detailed. And I make this kind of analogy. I know you guys like to 4-wheel drive on the weekends. Come on, let's admit it. Tell me. I know you're doing it. So let's say you're 4-wheel driving in your BMW, okay? And you come to me, Mr. Andrew Winnett's car detail service, right? And you say, okay, Andrew, this is my car, right? This is a picture of it. I'll be back in 5 hours, and I want this thing spick and span, and I'll pay you $500. Cool. So you come back 5 hours later, and I'm like, okay, here we are. I don't know how. Well, I just say, listen, your car's out back. You go out and look, and you're like, dude, I don't know how this guy did it, but he got my car dirtier. And then I had the audacity to try to charge you $500. Would you guys pay $500 if I was able to get this car dirtier? Please tell me in the comments. If I said, okay, that'll be $500, your car's ready, would you pay me? Tell me. I mean, honestly, yes or no? Would you guys pay me? Heck no, right? No way. No way. And yet, this is what financial advisors do. You give them your money to grow, they lose it, and then they still charge you a fee. Seems kind of backwards, doesn't it? Maybe that's just me. The other reason why most financial advisors don't like silos is because it is the safest, most competitive alternative product to what they sell. I was recently took my wife to Gatlinburg, which I don't know if you guys have ever been there. It's a great place. There's this roller coaster where you can go with another person, and you guys like kind of you're one sitting in front of the other. Which, by the way, someone died on those recently, so I'm not going to go back. But nonetheless, they abused it somehow. But they flew off the rails. I think this guy's like 450 pounds or something. But anyway, needless to say, someone died. Anyway, we've all been on roller coasters, right? The first 5 minutes are what? Click, 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 click. You going up. Now, why is that there a click? I'll tell you why. If the power goes out, you're clicked in place. You don't descend backwards into a fiery death, right? Well, this is what a silo's like. When the market's going up, your money's going up. Your investments are going up. Click, 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 click. But if the power goes out and the market begins to free fall, you're locked in place. You never go backwards. So you're able to participate in all the upside, but yet none of the downside. You're locked in place. Now, you may not earn anything that year when everyone else lost 30%, but you didn't lose anything. Sometimes it's not so much about how much do you earn, it's how much do you not lose. Okay. Couple client testimonials. Katrina, I won't give you the last names for confidentiality. Katrina has had a large account that wasn't growing. Her financial advisor wasn't doing his job. Received a 35% bonus, and it's growing again. Right? She's conservative. She needed it to grow. Stephanie was about to take a pension at work that would have robbed her family. She didn't know that if she were to pass away, the loved ones get nothing. That's ridiculous. Donna discovered she was paying 3.5% a year in fees in a variable annuity. Didn't even know it. Deb and Dan wasn't happy with their current advisor's lack of communication and income plan for their retirement. Diane and Tom wasn't sure if they had enough to live on comfortably and didn't want to lose another penny in the market. Linda needed to convert some of her taxable assets to tax-free to help her child avoid paying excess in taxes down the road. The point is that it doesn't matter where you're coming from. We help people of all walks of life. Like I said, going back to Ted Benna, okay, we're almost done here. Ted Benna, the founder of the 401k, said that the way Americans roll over their 401k plans into IRAs and then keep them invested in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that was not the purpose of the 401k whatsoever. Remember, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. It was designed to help employees and employers work together to create a cheaper alternative to the pension. It was a lump sum that should be used to convert into a pension or a silo at or close to retirement. Okay. But like I said, Wall Street saw a huge opportunity and hijacked the entire thing. That's why if you go online and you talk to Ted, which, like I said, I've done a movie with him, he's super frustrated because that's not the way the 401k or any retirement account was designed. Quick little story. Many of you guys don't know this. So back after World War II, if you were working for Ford, and let's say I work for GM, and I said, listen, you're a great employee. I love how your work ethic. I'd like to hire you to come work for GM. Back in the day, I couldn't pay you more I couldn't pay you a higher hourly wage. It was actually illegal. So what I would do instead is I would say, okay, I can't pay you more per hour, but here's what I'll do. I'll give you a pension, okay? As long as you work for me for 40 years and you're a good employee, we'll give you 80% of your highest 3 years of salary, and we'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Now, back in the back rooms, they're thinking, no one's going to work here for 40 years. Nobody. And you as an employer, like, dude, this sounds really good. And guess what happened? Everybody started working for 40 years. This is why our parents, okay, were so stinking wealthy. My grandma, okay, she received a pension on her and her deceased husband longer than both of them worked, like for 4 decades. Okay, it was ridiculous. The point is those pensions were so expensive that these companies were going out of business. So what did they do? Ted created the 401k. So the employer GM's like, listen, I cannot afford to do pensions anymore. Okay, that basically bankrupted us. But here's what we can do. You pitch in, I'll pitch in, we'll match it. At the end of your retirement, you'll have a nice lump sum, put it back into a pension. That was the purpose of retirement accounts. That's what Ted Bennett did. But what happened? Like I said, Wall Street saw this great opportunity and hijacked it and has been abusing it ever since. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And this is why it's ridiculous how much abuse in financial advisor fees, loss of money, sequence of returns risk. It's no wonder half the population is running out of money, right? Because the whole system has been hijacked by Wall Street. Maybe you fall into one of these categories, okay? And you think about this. Number one, you're 5 years before retirement or 5 years after. Okay, that's kind of the red zone, the hot zone, if you would. Number two, you have old 401ks, 403bs, TSBs, 457s with old employers that you have done nothing with. It's just been sitting there like, man, I forgot about it. Maybe number three, you have an IRA or a brokerage account that you're concerned about. Maybe it is vested in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And frankly, if we have another market downturn, which I don't know if you saw the market today, ouch, that sucks. Number four, you're sitting on excess cash and you don't know what to do with it. Maybe you fall into one of those categories. If you do, I've got great news for you. I'm here to tell you that starting your very own silo strategy is actually very easy. You won't have to worry about timing the market anymore. You won't be glued to Fox Business. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Putin invaded what? Oh my God, the market, oil. No, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You won't have to worry about taking RMDs, required minimum distributions at 72. And you won't have to worry about sequence of returns risk, running out of money. You don't have to worry about rolling over your IRAs or 401ks into a silo and triggering a taxable event. There are no taxes whatsoever. Whoa. You won't have to worry about losing a penny in the next market crash. Zero's your hero. You won't have to worry about your money not keeping up with inflation. Is anybody concerned about inflation? First of all, let me ask you guys, do you guys think that inflation is 7.9%, or do you think it's more like 15 like I do? Put a 15 or put what you think it is in the comments. Because frankly, it's not 7.9%. Yeah, 15. It is awful. Yeah, I completely agree. For sure. It's terrible. So inflation's a big deal. Well, with your silo, you won't have to worry about your money not keeping up with inflation. Okay? You won't have to worry about that because it's going to keep up. Number, whatever that is, 6. You won't have to worry about long-term care costs eating away at your savings. You won't have to worry about low returns anymore. And you finally get to enjoy guarantees. Say it with me. Guarantees that you've been looking for. We all want those guarantees. You finally get to enjoy the safe, secure retirement of your dreams. Okay, as we wrap this up, is it okay? I want to ask you guys a question. Say yes or no in the comments. Is it okay if I spend the next 10 minutes going over a very special offer that I created to help you implement the silo strategy? Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Jess says yes. Cindy says yes. Daxia says yes. Francie says yes. Okay, we got a bunch of yeses. So here we go. All right, here's what I'd like to give you. I'd like to give you the Joseph Strategy book. It's valued at $20. Okay, it's an Amazon best-selling book. I did reach number 2 at one point for financial books, which I was very proud of. It was in Canada. Okay, but listen, the Canadians need our help too. Okay, I think it was number 5 in America. Yeah, so you get that book. What would I like to give you? So the Joseph Strategy valued at $20. What else would I like to give you? A copy of the Hollywood film that I co-produced, okay, called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. Like I said, it's got Nobel-winning economists, okay? It's got Ted Benna, the founder of the 401k, Olivia Mitchell, the foremost expert of Social Security in the world, Thomas Seidel, the largest financial whistleblower in American history, state comptrollers. It's got everybody you could possibly imagine, and it is amazing. I'm very, very proud, and it is a Hollywood-rated film. It's PG, okay, so it's not crazy. Okay, your kids can watch it. They probably won't understand it, but it is family friendly. Okay, it's valued at $30. So there you go. We got the Joseph Strategy book valued at 20. Baby Boomer Dilemma movie valued at 30. Now, this is where we get into some good stuff right here. You guys need an income plan. Okay. Yes, it is an excellent movie. Dax has seen it. You guys need an income plan, right? So what is an income plan? An income plan is literally forecasting on one page, not like Merrill Lynch. It's like 500 pages long, Ameriprise, all those crazy. No one knows what the heck they're talking about. One simple page, okay? And it's going through your Social Security, cost of living adjustments, if you have any pensions, if you have any real estate, what is your desired income before taxes or retirement, inflation. It's going to go over any savings you have. You literally get to see the entire rest of your life on one piece of paper that's constructed. So it literally goes over everything: long-term care, rainy day. It goes over if you want to travel and have a little excess spending money during retirement, everything. So as long as you stick with this in this plan, you will know, do I have enough or do I not? Do I have surplus or do I have deficit? This is valued at $1,500 and you get that. That's one of the things you get. Silo Strategy Income Plan valued at $1,500. If you were to go to a fee-only advisor, they'd probably even charge you more than this to do this. Okay, so this is $1,500. What else would I like to give you? Retirement tax analysis. So here's the other thing. Taxes are a big deal. Okay, if I can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, I work with CPAs. Okay, if I can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, that's got to be at least worth $1,000. Like I know my CPA guy, he's like $500 an hour. Okay. So we look at everything. We go through it with our team. We make sure, hey, is there any strategies that we can do to help offset where you're at so you can be efficient with taxes? We don't want to be tipping the IRS. Okay. You tip the lady at Applebee's. You don't tip the IRS. Okay. So we want to be ethical. We don't want to be tipping the IRS any money. That's valued at $1,000. Okay. So we got the Joseph Strategy book. $20. Baby Boomer Dilemma, $30. Silo Strategy Income Plan, $1,500. Retirement tax analysis, $1,000. I promise you that's worth way more than that. Okay, I'm being conservative there. What else? We're going to do a fee reduction analysis. Like I said, a lot of people are not aware how much they're spending in fees. So if we can, like I said, average is 1.1 million. If I can just save you 50,000 in fees, okay, over the rest of your life, what's that worth? Is it worth $2,000? I think so. Valued at $2,000. We save people a lot more than that, by the way. That's just like kind of the average. Valued at $2,000. You got to know what you're looking for. Listen, the reason why I pay my plumber to come out and help me for 5 minutes is because of all the years of wisdom. He knows what he's doing. The same thing here. I know what I'm doing, and we can help you with fees. We're going to save you a ton of money on fees. $2,000. So, Joseph Strategy book. Valued at $20. Baby Boomer Dilemma movie, valued at $30. Silo Strategy Income Plan, valued at $1,500. We got the retirement tax analysis. You're not tipping the IRS, $1,000. Fee reduction analysis, so you're not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees before you go. What else? Man, I'm generous, right? I mean, you're like, dude, this is awesome. The estate planning analysis. So if you have somebody that you want to leave behind something, right? Maybe and by the way, a lot of these go hand in hand, but maybe it's a child, maybe it's a grandchild, maybe it's not the child, but it is a grandchild, right? Maybe you need a trust. Maybe you need some help with that. Maybe it's a charity. Maybe it's a qualified remainder trust, right? Or a charitable remainder trust. There's lots of different things that you can do here. Estate planning analysis allows you to pass on potentially lots of money to the next generation or a church or a charity, and it's not a burden. I'm telling you, I see it all the time where mom and dad pass away, the kids are left with this money, and it destroys the family, okay? That can be alleviated if it's all laid out. Estate planning, if you go to any estate attorney, it's going to charge you way more than this. Estate planning analysis valued at $2,500. Okay, so finally, we got the Joseph Strategy book valued at $20. The Baby Boomer Dilemma valued at $30. silo strategy income plan valued at $1,500. Retirement tax analysis valued at $1,000. We've got the fee reduction analysis valued at $2,000. The estate planning analysis valued at $2,500, bringing the total value of $7,050. And how can you get access to this? This is free. When you book a 1 hour, no obligation appointment in my office in Brentwood. Now, here, before I want to preface something, okay? Let me explain who this is not for. This is not for anybody who's not concerned about losing money in the next market crash. If you do not want a guaranteed source of income, if you are not concerned about long-term care costs, if you don't mind paying taxes, if you have less than $250,000 or more than $10 million in investable asset sources, and you're completely satisfied with your current financial advisor. If that's you, this is not the right fit, okay? Who this is for is if you are actually concerned about our current economy and would like more safety. You want a guaranteed source of income that you cannot outlive. You want to participate in the market upside without any of the downside. You're concerned about being able to afford long-term care costs. You want growth without loss. You want to pay less in taxes. You don't want to be tipping the IRS anymore. You have at least $250,000 in liquid investable asset sources, but less than $10 million. And you're not completely satisfied with your current financial advisor. Maybe he's a good guy. Maybe you just want a second opinion, and you want to pay zero advisor fees, right? If that's you, you can book an appointment on my calendar today. All right. Like I said, you guys should see that offer, the book appointment. It's in red. It'll take you to my Calendly. I don't have many spots because most of my schedule is very full, frankly. A lot of people are wanting my services. You know, on the radio, we do dinner seminars, we do movie theater events. But after you book an appointment, you will get a confirmation call within 1 business day from our office in order to set you up with that silo special that's just for you. Okay. And you can go and do that now. It won't shut this off. Okay. You can book an appointment. It'll just take you to Calendly. And if you guys have any last couple questions, we'll stay on for about 2 minutes, but you can go do that now because as soon as I close this, that's going to go away. So at least click on it. It'll open up a new tab and you can still hear me. Is there any questions that you guys have on any of this? General questions. Okay. I can't. You don't see it. Okay. Well, there's a book and appointment. It might be under offers. I don't know if you're looking at a Cindy. I don't know if you're looking. And by the way, I'll tell you what. I can also put it in this way. 1 second. I can do it in the chat here. I think if you click on there. Okay, good deal. You found it. Good. Well, hopefully you guys got some value out of this. If you're booking an appointment, no worries. But I would love to hear what your biggest gold nugget was, or if you have a question, you might be typing. What's your biggest gold nugget that you got, or maybe what's a question you have? And again, if you're booking an appointment, don't worry about it. But listen, I had a lot of fun with you guys today, and hopefully you got a lot out of this content. This is our first one with this webinar itself. I truly believe in this. I really do. In fact, I was with a client. I won't mention her name, but I was with a client literally an hour ago, and she had lost in at least 15 years, if not 20. In that whole entire time, she had lost $52,000. She didn't even grow, which is so terrible, right? She was so frustrated. Anyway, we took care of her, and we're going to make sure she's not going backwards. But losing $52,000, your money's stagnant. She lost tons of buying power through inflation, and we don't want that, right? And so anyway, yeah. I'm glad you guys got something, Francie. Very good and comprehensive. Thank you. And we're going to wrap this up, and I'm glad you guys got something out of it. I'm going to go get something to eat, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And like I said, you can book an appointment and get that entire silo special just for you guys who watch this webinar. I'd be happy to serve you. Okay. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you all soon. See ya.